As a total, what are the trends that I am seeing in the financial industry in terms of bankruptcies, foreclosures, modification, or consumer debt? Basically, what's going on is the banks are getting more and more difficult to work with. Even though they received billions upon billions of dollars from the government, the banks are not always willing to work with the consumer. They're not always willing to work with the homeowner. Why? Because even though they received the billions of dollars, it's not really enough incentive for them to help somebody. Why? Well, basically, if the bank is going to offer you a modification, they get paid around $1,000 for offering that modification. What is that to a bank? When you look at the amount of time and hours that's spent to get a modification done, $1,000 is really not that much money. Consumer debt. A lot of people are in debt with their credit cards. And what are people doing? Nothing, because people don't know that there are options out there. Many people are running towards bankruptcy. Like bankruptcy is the only thing out there. That is absolutely incorrect. People need to understand that you do have options. You have consumer credit counseling. You have debt consolidation. You could work with the bank and have settlements negotiated with them. Now, why is a bank going to negotiate a settlement with you, you ask? Basically because if they push you towards bankruptcy, they will not see a penny if it's a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Okay? Unless you have assets that are going to be liquid, and unless you have assets that the bank is going to see that they're going to take from you, they will not get anything if you declare bankruptcy. Now, what type of settlements are you looking at, or can you get? Basically, a bank is willing to give you a settlement that they will see a return on their money on. The truth of the matter is that a credit card company will get a refund from a tax stimulus up to 80% of what they don't get from you, basically as a return, as a lost profit. What does that mean? That means that whether you pay them or not, they're already getting 80% of their money back. Now, where does the other 20% come from? Usually in 3 to 6 months of you owing that debt and not being able to pay for it, they sell it to a collection company, a third-party collection company. What does that do for you? That tells you that the bank is already made whole just on the fact that they're getting a return from the government and that they sold it for, let's say, 20% of what you owe them to a third-party collection company. Now, I want you to consider another thing. How much interest have you already paid them throughout the process of owing that money? What is your interest rate? The government came out with a new requirement requiring the credit card companies to put on every single bill how much you owe them, how long it's going to take you to pay that debt off if you're paying minimum payments, and how long it's going to take you to pay that debt off if you're paying slightly more than minimum payments. Most of you will look at that statement and see that it's going to be in excess of 20 years. 20 years to pay off a $10,000 debt at 20%? I don't think that's what anyone wants. Bankruptcy is an option, but it's not the only option. Okay? Settlements, debt consolidation, consumer credit counseling are things that can help you. But you need to figure out which option is best for you. The best way to do it? Seek legal counsel. An attorney will be able to tell you if bankruptcy Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 is the best option. Now, what's going on with the bankruptcies? Judges, trustees, they're making it a lot more difficult to get the bankruptcies. Why? Because not everybody should be declaring. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy is a total liquidation of all of your assets and debt. What does that mean? If you own a home and it's not exempt, that house is going to be taken away as part of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you own a nice car, that car will be taken away as part of the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you make too much money, the judge and the trustee will not allow you to declare bankruptcy. Several years ago, bankruptcy laws have changed. It's not the same thing as it was, 5 to 10 years ago. It's not going to be the same amount of debt that can be declared. It's not going to be the same income that's going to be allowed to declare bankruptcy with. You need to consider your options. It's not as easy as it was before, and right now, the banks are offering settlements and negotiations. Consider your options.